Welcome, everyone, to episode 1 of the Minot Business Podcast, presented by Bennett Creative Media. I am your host, Easton Bennett. Very lucky and special guest we have today, Nathan Stremick, Signal Realty. And you get to be number 1, episode 1. How do you feel about that, Nathan?
That's pretty good because I don't know how many people listen to episode 1, so I feel like we'll just give her and see what happens.
Exactly. So we're going to go through a little bit of an introduction here to start. I obviously know a little bit about you. You sold me my house. We work on projects together. But for the people listening, who is Nathan Stremick? What do you do?
Born and raised in Minot. Never left. Graduated from Minot High. Minot State grad. Just been here my whole entire life. So
build the dam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you... Obviously, you're a realtor.
Yep.
How did you get into the real estate market, the whole world? Have you always liked houses and interior design, or how did you even get into that world?
Not really. I guess when I was at Minot State, I started I bought a sprinkler business. So I kind of started in that pitch. That was a great fit because I could, busy season was during the summertime. You know, we worked from May to November. And then, did school. I did odd and end jobs. So I started there looking for stuff to do in the winter. My dad got into real estate and he said, why don't you get your real estate license instead of going being a bartender and whatever I was filling my time with. So I started doing that. And then at one time we decided to sell the sprinkler business. And I said I'd dabble in real estate until I found what I wanted to do in life. And I guess I'm
And they're like, dang, this shit's easy. I'm just going to keep doing this, right?
Just keep selling houses.
So I didn't even know, well, maybe I knew that you own a sprinkler business, but why, how did that come about? Was it just something you wanted to do just for income, or, was it a good business opportunity, or how did that come about, the sprinkler business?
It was kind of like a spur of the moment thing, I think. My first job ever was working at Huber Sprinkler under Jay Kruger. And then I was at Shields, and I just always said I wanted a business. And my dad's like, oh, I know this guy's selling a business. Do you want to buy it? And I'm like, well, sure. And then just bought the business and really had no clue about anything. Looking back, it's just crazy to see how many mistakes were made and how, I didn't know any different. So just rolled the dice and away we went.
So were you always business minded? Did you know growing up that I want to own a business one day? Or did it just kind of click with you in college and high school?
No, I'd never really, I don't think that was ever business minded. I guess I've never really thought about what I really wanted to do. I guess I don't know. It just always seemed like one thing led to the next thing. And I've never really had a plan. It just kind of whatever falls in your lap at the moment, you just roll with it.
So how did the sprinkler business go when you started? Was it good, successful? What was the reason for getting out of that? Just different endeavors?
Getting out of it, actually. Well, we always had a plan to get out of it. It's kind of a crazy story. Not many people know about it, but I got diagnosed with melanoma. So that's like skin cancer in your back in 2013.
Really?
And so I was down at the Mayo Clinic, and it wasn't bad. It didn't spread to my body, but they had to take it out. So they took it out of my back. And then they're like, yeah, I would be in the sun from sun up to sundown. A lot of times we worked with our shirt off. Then I'd go to the lake and I'd fish from sun up to sundown, and I'd have my shirt off. They can't trace it back to that, but
that's what they think it was.
Probably not the most ideal thing to have in your genetics when you're working outside. So my brother was, he was a partner in Stremick Sprinkling, and he was going to go down the accounting road. So we started to look at selling, and so it kind of just, and I already had my real estate license. So it kind of just fell in my lap. And
so how long did you do the sprinklers for?
5 years.
5 years. Okay. Do you miss it?
No, I missed the blowout season when you went and winterized the sprinklers in the fall. It was always, October, get a thermos of coffee, go around, blow out sprinklers and stuff. That was pretty fun. But I still look at a hole and I just don't want to do any dig another hole in my life.
So it's like the movie Holes, Hector Zeroni. So then Signal Realty. What was the transition to that? I know you mentioned your dad said maybe you should get your real estate license. Did you just start and say, okay, I'll just try this?
Yeah. I always take an unconventional approach at everything, it seems. But I actually started my real estate career over at Coldwell Banker under Todd Fettig. My dad was at Signal. A lot of people thought that was weird, but shout out to him. He's probably the best broker in the business for sure. And I learned a lot with sprinklers, and I said I never would want to go to a business without training. Franchise, some type of grounds for training to get started, because the learning curve was a lot on sprinklers. And so they have a franchise. Coldwell Banker is a franchise. Yeah. So that's actually why I picked to go over there. I thought it would be the best place to learn.
So was there a lot of training they had for you there?
They did. Yes. Training was good. I mean, that was my grounds for real estate. I mean, it was awesome. It was a great experience. I wouldn't be where I was today without Coldwell Banker. So decided I started growing. We were looking at hiring people. It just made sense to make that transition over to Signal so my dad could kind of utilize it and work as a team together at that time. So then I made the jump over to Signal, and that's where I started there.
So was there a certain moment in time where you thought, that's where you knew that real estate clicked for you?
No, it just kind of growing, I love selling real estate. I probably love investing in real estate even more. I just love looking at what a deal is or what makes sense. So when I had my sprinkler business, we were going to move our stuff into, because we used to always get in trouble because we always had everything parked on the street in the alley, and we were overflowing from our garage.
Yeah.
So we bought a storage condo, like a 60 by 30 storage condo. Had a renter in place. That was during the oil boom. It was an oil company, and we were always going to move into that. But the rent checks were so nice that I just never kicked them out. Still have that storage condo today. It's been rented ever since. So that was kind of my first rental, even before I was a realtor. And when I bought my house, I had a roommate that rented from me, and I just kind of developed into the investing along with the selling. And
so the shop condo was your first kind of step into the real estate investment world?
Yep.
After you had the shop condo and you decided those rent checks are nice, did you have any strategies or plans to add more rental properties? Is that when it kind of clicked that you're like, oh my gosh, this is kind of a lucrative business here?
It took a few years after that. I had just those single storage. Actually, I bought another one like 2 years later. So I had just those two, but I didn't really start growing my portfolio until like the last 3 years, selling it. And finally, it takes a significant amount of cash just kind of start getting into the game and doing that stuff. But I guess we started flipping houses too somewhere in there, and flipped a few houses so would you buy those houses? Do you have to have cash to buy those houses to flip them? And then, so you'd buy them, renovate them, and then flip them, right? Yeah. So a lot of times you need cash. Actually, when I was in the sprinkler business, the first person, shout out to Preston Phillips, no one else would give me any money. And he's a friend and a banker, and he gave me a loan for my first storage condo. And, I don't know why he did that, but they did at the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, with the right banker, you can say it's cash, but they're really giving you the money. I mean, you just need someone to more or less believe in you or believe in the project that you're doing. You can kind of go get money for anything. It's not like buying a house where you have to check all these boxes and get sold to the secondary market. It's kind of more believing in the business or the strategy and whatnot. So no, those weren't bought in cash. They were financed.
So for that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that you see TikToks and you see Instagram posts and all these things about, everyone get into real estate investing. What does the actual real estate investing look like? Is it as glamorous and lucrative as it seems on the internet? Or, you're obviously in the trenches. What is it actually like?
You can make a lot of money if you hit a home run. Like right now, the market's just been going up, so everyone can look like a genius in the real estate investing market.
Yep.
It's if it turns, if a tenant moves out, how long can you hold that house? How long can you, withstand a big issue coming up? Hey, this week we had 4 units flood.
Yeah.
Some pump went out, flooded the basement units. Insurance is going to cover up to 10 grand. That should do most of it. But let's say you didn't have the right insurance in place, or, what kind of thing can you withstand? So no, I'd say it's not as glamorous as people say. It can be a real grind, and you have to look, it's not a short-term fix. Everyone thinks that it's a quick quick scheme and you can hit a home run. Flipping houses is probably your best way to do it, but it's not.
So do you still flip houses then, or?
No, I don't.
Okay. How many did you flip in your career?
I think probably 4 or 5.
Okay. Did you enjoy that process?
No, I hate construction. It was fine back then when you look at it and stuff like that. I have a lot of, in the real estate now, I have a lot of clients that flip, not a lot. I have, probably 3 really good flipping clients that would look at flipping houses and stuff. So I would rather sell them those houses and help them through those process than be, a competition to the house flipping.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I thought that I don't have to deal with it. I can help them. I'd rather, help someone flip a house and sell it to them when they buy it and list it and sell it for them.
So going into the client world a little bit now, you started with the sprinkler business. Was the sprinkler business mainly residential, or was it, businesses too that you're putting sprinklers in?
Mainly residential. That was during 2010 to 15. So there was, the oil boom, the flood in Minot. So a lot of the yards got flooded out in Minot. They were also building like crazy up on the hills. So we hit it like at a really good time where we were doing a ton of residential installs. Everyone was seemed like everyone in Minot had 2 yards to put in. They had to put their flood yard in, and they had to put their new house they had to buy because the house got flooded. So,
as far as dealing with clients go, so obviously the sprinklers, you're dealing with people that own houses and that kind of thing. And in real estate, you're also dealing with the public. How do you go about, working with clients? Is there any of the best strategies, worst strategies? Did you ever go through anything where it's like, I learned a little bit through that process?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I guess, answer your phone and shoot people straight. A lot of people have a hard time delivering bad news to someone. You can't just always bring positive news to someone. Like, you got to, especially in the real estate world, deals fall apart, stuff happens. Answer your phone. We'll have a lot of people that'll hide behind a text message or not even answer when it's bad news, or you get delayed on a sprinkler job or whatever happened to be. It's like, we'll be there tomorrow. Just hold, answer your phone. People are happy to talk to you. They understand life comes up and different stuff like that, but just be able to, answer your phone, deliver the message you got to deliver, good, bad, or ugly, whatever it happens to be. And just, it's taken me a while, but I've also learned that you won't please everyone. No matter what, you're going to have people that are mad at you.
They're going to be pissed off at you.
They'll make a decision that you think, they should have used me to sell their house or put in their sprinklers. And they go, you don't know what's on the back end, why they chose to do what they chose to do, and just keep rolling. There's enough out there for everyone.
So now working with the public as a whole, I know, marketing is a big thing for you. We've talked about this for, the past couple of years. There's so many real estate agents in Minot that you kind of have to differentiate yourself a little bit. And I know you've been doing social media posts, and I see your stories all the time in videos. What do you think? Why do you think it's important to put yourself out there through social media?
I think it's people to know, it's just to show who you are as a person. I want to work with people that have like minds, like goals, just seems like a lot of people, your age will call you, people want to work with similar people and different stuff like that. I also think social media, there is a lot of, any profession that's out there. One of the other things that I learned going back to like the melanoma thing is that a doctor is not a doctor. They were like, the lady's like, hey, Google me, and she was like world renowned for all these surgeries, and it was just a slow day. So she was going to work on me instead. So really? That's kind of one thing, that I've always said is, a dentist isn't always a dentist, or a realtor isn't always a realtor. There's a lot of different levels to these things. So, to put yourself out there on social media and just know that, you don't know everything, but you have to have an idea of what's going on in the market. You have to have an idea of why this house sold and why that house didn't sold, and just trying to strive to, bring a better, client experience, and also back it up with knowledge and stories and why is this happening or what's that happening, and help people make the best decisions they can when buying and selling. And
is there a process that you go through that you try to make your experience better and different than if, someone was to go work with Joe Schmo down the road?
Every day. That's kind of, I work with Ashley. You've met Ashley, and we are always working. I have the ideas, her and Cammie help implement the ideas. I mean, we want everyone to have a great experience and try to get in front of any problems there may be, or try to tell people, this is what should happen. This is what's next. I mean, it's very nerve-wracking buying a house. You don't buy a house very often. I don't want any surprises. I want to lay out the numbers. I'm kind of a worst case scenario for a seller type guy. Like, hey, this is the low end, or this is, put all the, closing costs, and try to disclose as much upfront about the process and what we can expect, but we can only control so much. So, there are bumps along the road that we may hit, and we just got to have a plan on how to get over them.
And that's probably, like you mentioned earlier, just being upfront and straightforward is probably your best bet at the end of the day.
Oh, for sure.
So you mentioned you have a team that works with you. What's the importance of having a team in a business versus just going at it by yourself?
Just being able to give a better experience, I think, is because there's a lot of different things that go into, selling real estate or any business. And it's being able to have people that have better skills than you or different skills than you, Organization is not my strong suit. So Ashley and Cammie are awesome on being organized and different stuff on the back
They're
end.
getting your schedule and everything hammered out?
They're getting my schedule hammered out, my office organized, whatever happens to be. They're like, and it's kind of, we have a team mentality where they all know I like to be out there meeting with people, signing contracts, talking about the market and stuff, and not being organized on the back end, but just having a team help you out.
So I want to talk a little bit more about rentals. Before we get into the rentals like we were talking about before, I want your thoughts on Airbnb. Right now, I see all these YouTubers and they're buying Airbnbs and they're making video series on building them out. What are your thoughts on the whole Airbnb world? If that's a good investment, what do you think about that?
I would, for the
Minot, it's tough because
it's not tough, and I could go down. I think that there's opportunity in any market. If someone out there wants to get into the Airbnb business, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you about it because it takes the right person, I think. And I think Airbnb is more of a job than a passive income approach, until you get to so big where you can develop a team. Like if you're doing all the Airbnb yourself, you've just created another job.
Why is that? Is it because of you got to deal with the bookings and stuff? Or
you got to deal with the bookings. You got to deal with the cleaning lady. You got to deal, someone moves in and
think about cleaning.
Yeah. Someone moves in and their Wi-Fi isn't working. I mean, if you have a house, let's say your Airbnb, you're not here. You got to make sure someone's mowing the lot yard, doing the snow.
Okay.
Bookkeeping. I mean, it can be a very lucrative job, but at the end of the day, are you better off putting a tenant in here and renting your house for $1,000 a month? And they take care of everything and you should theoretically just get a check in the mail.
Yeah. Or
are you better off renting it to 12 people this month and getting $3,000 at the end of the month, but you have to deal with all that stuff.
That's true. Do you have any clients that have Airbnbs right now or have talked to you about Airbnbs?
We have people that talk to us about it, and stuff, but no one's really no one's really doing it in Minot. There's some people, I think there maybe would be a niche for it in Minot or Lake Menegoshi. I think there's some people doing some Airbnbs up there, a destination thing, but there's, I think there's definitely.
Yeah. How do you feel about, real estate investing? Obviously, if you live in Minot and you don't want to get something here, have you ever had any clients buy a piece of property in, let's say, Arizona or in maybe not California, but Arizona or somewhere that's outside of North Dakota and then use that as their rental property, even though they live in North Dakota?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't help clients like myself buy in Arizona. I could.
Okay. You have to be licensed for that?
Yeah, you're licensed there for that. But I wouldn't even go to Bismarck to help someone buy in Bismarck because my thought is I'm not an expert in Bismarck. I'm not doing you any justice. Go find someone that knows what they do. We can send referrals out. Yeah. So hey, I'll refer to my friend Austin Muth in Bismarck and he'll take care of you. He knows and he's worth way more knowledge than I have. So use him and I'm not doing it right. But as far as that, long distance investing. Yeah, there's definitely people that do that all the time. We've had a couple rentals in Arizona that we've rented out. Those ones were condos, and we were very fortunate that the single family, the condos, you only have one tenant. So
that's true.
So if you get the right tenant in place, they can be there for years. We had one I think was there for 4 years, and another one that was there for 3 years, and the direct deposit the check into the account every month, and it was actually very, very.
And you didn't really have to do anything then, right?
No.
So that would be like a home run that you say you hit.
Yeah, you didn't make like the $100,000 like they may say on TikTok. We didn't make when you go to sell, you make a lot of money, especially in the market that Arizona's been in. We sold both those about 2 years ago now, and definitely timing was good. We got it on the upswing, but it's went way, way higher since then. But both those tenants moved out and we just decided to sell because the market was doing so good at those times.
Okay.
So that would be, but that for as far as a rental property, they were pretty close to a home run, as far as just having the right tenants in place. So
pivoting a little bit to tenants, before this, you were showing me a couple of pictures and some things that, the non-glamorous side of owning rental properties. Do you have any nightmare stories or a couple of stories that you can share about some things where it just makes you scratch your head because you're like, this is the part of, real estate investing that people don't think about?
Yeah. So we have a property management company for most of our stuff. They have, what was I going to say on that? So we have property management for most of our stuff. And I always say that 10 months out of the year, owning an investment property is great. 2 months out of the year, there's going to be something that's just crazy that happens. So one text we got from the management company, maybe it was about a year ago, I don't know. And they're like, yes, someone took your washing machine, the coin thing from their washing machine. Well, we've had that happen before where people burglarize it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, can you go replace it? They're like, no, they took it off. I'm like, what do you mean? And they sent us a picture, and I don't know how they do it, where they like ripped off the top of the
strongest man in the world is like, we're taking this out of this washer.
Yeah, taking it off the top of the washer and like ripped it off. So we had to buy a whole new $1,500 washer to get it. And he probably got, $40 in quarters out of it. I mean, we could have bargained something out if we'd have known it was happening.
Hey, don't rip that off. I'll give you $40. You could just have the quarters.
Yeah, just leave it alone. So that was crazy. Like I showed people, they're like, no way. They like, how did that happen? So
is there not like screws? Can he not unscrew it, or did he just rip the top off?
Yeah, like a crowbar or something in there. I don't know, but it had to been loud. But then the management company went around and asked people if they heard. And the one guy was like, yeah, I heard like a bunch of noise and stuff. And then I saw a guy walk out of the building with the top of the washer machine. I just thought it was maintenance.
I think it's the best part that he took the top of the washer. He ripped it off. He could have just taken the quarters, left the top of the washer there. He's like, nah, I'm taking that with me too.
Yeah, took the whole top
Maybe he
off.
Sold the top of the washer for another 40.
Yeah, you'd have to recycle it. It was useless at that point. But so.
And then I know there's another story you had about a firearm.
Oh yeah, that one. So that's like a text, or maybe it was an email, whatever. And the management company says, hey, just let you know that at so-and-so property, we're going to evict number 3. Number 7 was moving in and he pulled a gun on him and threatened him and stuff. So now we have a bit of an issue we got to handle, but we're going to evict the guy who pulled the gun, and hopefully we can keep the other tenant there. And it's just like, it just never.
I love the fact that they're just called like, kind of like Austin Powers. Yep. Number 2, number 3, number 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that makes sense. So they just pulled a firearm on the guy. Just why? Was he just?
I don't know.
Do they even know?
We don't know. We didn't get to the details on it. I mean, the management company, they probably know, but they just they keep you in the loop on what's happening, what's going on. And they just let you like to keep your properties full. So when you see a vacancy, sometimes a lot of times they just move out. And I would say, 95% of all the tenants are good. These are just the worst stories.
The bad apples.
Yep.
As far as real estate investing as a whole, whether I'm buying a single family home or a duplex or a fourplex or whatever it might be, what are your thoughts on people purchasing a property and then moving into the future? Obviously, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good investment. But there's people out there that say purchasing a single family home is the worst investment you can make. What are your thoughts on that?
Like purchasing a single family for an investment. Like
for yourself.
Putting a tenant.
Whether it's me buying a house here and then selling it in 20 years for whatever it might be more. I'm more trying to get at, is real estate a good investment because it's an appreciating asset, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking at investing, so if you already live in a house and you bought another house, you got to get started. That's the thing. People think that like, wow, this is a lot of work for, your first single family home. You may only, if you get a loan on it and put a down payment, you may only cash flow $100 a month. I mean, you're not, $1,200, or would that be, $1,200 a year would be all you'd be making off it. But you have to think there's a lot of other benefits in owning it, and you got to get started. That's
tax benefits, isn't there?
Yep. There's some tax benefits of owning it. There's appreciation, your monthly payment, you may be paying down your monthly, your principal on your loan by $400 that you don't see until you go to sell it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things about just getting started, and it's okay. Let's say you own where I see the biggest benefit is when you've owned something for like 5 to 7 years. Okay. And you go back to the bank, and we've been in a declining rate environment for a long time. Now it's starting to go, well, it's went way up. So this isn't as good of a strategy, but we were able to refinance a bunch of the properties that we bought 5 to 7 years ago and re-amortize them out over 20 years. So what that does is they were amortized.
Explain that to me like I'm 5.
Explain that to you like you're 5. So there's the term of your loan. So you have 20 years to pay off your loan.
Yep.
You've paid it off for 7.
Yep.
So you owe less now than you did when you bought it.
What's the benefit of refinancing it?
Refinancing it means your payment goes lower.
Okay.
So if you extend it out, some people could pull equity out, and that's tax free.
Just pull the cash out of it.
Yep, pull the cash. So if you had a $50,000 property and now it's up to 75, you could pull $25,000 out of it, and
then pay on 50.
Yep, pay on the 50 or do something with that. But everyone has different investing strategies. If you don't pull any equity out and you just go, so that loan that you were 13 years from paying off that house, well, now you're another 20 years from paying off that house, which isn't ideal, but you've also generated maybe another $400 a month because your payment got lowered so much by extending that out.
So lowering the payment allows you have to pay longer on it, but you're making more money on it month over month.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there a business, or not a business strategy, but maybe it's an investing strategy? And I thought it was like 3 R's or 4 R's or something. Burr, yes. And what does that mean? I see that all the time, but I never have actually looked to see what that actually means.
Put me on the spot there. I can't. Bigger Pockets talks about it a lot.
It's like something refinance, I thought.
Yeah, buy, rehab, refinance.
Rehab, that's the word.
Buy, rehab, refinance. So you buy a property for $100,000. So you
buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you buy a property for $100,000. And a lot of times these properties need to be ones that need work to them. You need to be able to add value to them. It doesn't work if you can't add value to it. So you buy a property for $100,000, and this is going to be extreme.
Yeah.
So you put $50,000 into it, and all of a sudden it's worth $200,000. So you have 150 into it. It's
worth 200.
It's worth 200. So you go refinance at the bank. Hopefully they let you, refinance for $180,000. Okay. So then you'd have $30,000 in equity that you just pulled out of the property.
So then you pull out that cash
to do it again. Yep.
And you just keep it. See, doing it. Is that a good strategy? I mean, it is if it works, I guess.
Well, it helps you grow your portfolio.
Okay.
It kind of all depends on where you're at. If you're tight on cash and you don't have a lot of cash to put back into these projects and you're finding really good deals, yeah, as long as you have the equity, yes, it is. You're not going to have a ton of cash flow because everything is kind of financed as much as possible. Yeah. But like I say, it doesn't, as long as you don't have any big hiccups, you don't need a lot of cash flow.
I suppose you can crash and burn on that too, though.
You can very big crash and burn because you don't have a lot of equity in your.
And what are the things that add? What's something that if I buy a house for $100,000, put 50 into it, I'm in for 150. What are some renovations and changes that you make? What are the biggest ones you see that actually make it worth that 200? Is there certain areas in that rehab part that make it worth more money?
Adding bedrooms, like an egress bedroom downstairs. So now you go from a 2-bedroom house, maybe you can go to a 4-bedroom house. Maybe you have an unfinished basement, so you finish the basement. If it's trashed, maybe it's a foreclosure. Someone moved out of it, they completely trashed it. If you're looking to burst something, the nastier the better.
So usually you don't want to get a house and then just make small cosmetic fixes like, redo the kitchen. It's usually something that's the basement's unfinished, or there's a bedroom with no egress window, or someone punched a hole in the wall or something like that.
Yes.
Or a lot of holes. In a lot of walls.
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife always gets mad because it's like, the crappier, the better, I tell her. And she's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, it's not a good flipper if you don't find needles in it or something.
That's true. I remember when before we purchased this place, and we were going around looking at houses. The first one you showed us was above Trinity. That one that was, I don't even know, but we were walking through it and I thought I was going to fall through all the floors. I was like, I think it was like 50,000 or something.
Yeah.
49,000. And it was the little blue one. And we had to drive to the back. And I was like, yeah, this probably is not a great place. Maybe if I was flipping it, but this, I'm not going to move in tomorrow. So,
yeah. So having a house with a problem and then fixing the problem, that's a huge, that's a great way to add value.
So a couple more questions for you and then I'll let you run. But one thing I want to do at the end of all of these episodes is to ask some biggest successes and biggest failures. So let's start with successes. Do you have any successes that you remember that you're like, that was awesome? You know what I mean? Some top tier successes that you've had throughout your, I guess we can do sprinkler business too, but throughout your business journey.
I think the biggest successes, I don't know if I've had anything that's just like a home run moment, like, oh man, that was just great. I think it's just building small steps that have led to, big gains type of deal. Looking at over a whole year is setting a goal at the beginning of the year and being like, wow, I can't believe that we were able to sell X amount of dollars in real estate or man, we found a decent deal on the portfolio of, to add an investment property or something like that. I don't have any big, huge home run successes, but I think it's just adding to that all the time. And creating a great team around you. I think one of my biggest successes right now would be kind of the team we have built around us, with Cammie, Ashley, Kyler at Eyes on Verdict. I mean, we just have a bunch of
shout out you guys.
Yeah, we have a bunch of good people around us, and I think that's a huge success to have them, working with us, and we'd love to go and work every day.
That just goes back to the importance of having a team. It's crazy. Even with my video stuff, I'm, building more of a team around having more people on set for helping on it. Even Nathan here, who's behind the cameras, you guys can't see, but even having people monitor cameras and light up and have stands and audio, all of that adds so much to the production value. And I assume it does the same for real estate.
Oh, for sure. It's developing a culture. And I think there's a lot of these, smaller businesses where you don't think about that when you're starting out, like what kind of culture, how do you want it to look? And then when it starts to unfold, you're like, wow, this is cool. You know?
So let's pivot a little bit now. Biggest failures. Is there anything where you did it and you're like, wow, I lost a lot of money there, or I wish I would have done this, or pissed a client off?
I guess burning a bridge here and there. I think sometimes, I every once in a while have an email typed up, and now I've let it sit in drafts for a little bit longer than I do. I mean, never burn a bridge type of deal.
You never know who knows who.
Exactly. And you're in a small thing, and what I've learned too, you don't know what someone else is going through on the back end. You don't know what kind of day they have. I'm not a real detailed, organized person. So a lot of times, if you go to blame someone else for something, like, well, they did, they sent it, I just didn't read it, or whatever it happens to be. So, that would be the one thing is, never burn a bridge or say something you don't want to say. I mean, we're all kind of in this together here, to do business or whatever, and not take anything personal, so that's kind of, just growing along the way
and I think that's super important in business, is that, like I said, you never know who knows who. If you burn this bridge with them, they might know 15 of the biggest business owners that are also not going to work with you because you're an asshole to Joe Smith or whoever it was. Last question I got for you. What is your North Star? Is there a goal that you're shooting for? Is there any big projects that you in 10 years you want to hit? Or you just, obviously you're working every single day, but do you have a North Star? Is there something you're trying to achieve in the next 15, 20 years?
Yeah, I think the biggest goal I want to achieve is to generate enough passive income where you can just do, like, I don't want to retirement's a long time goal, but I would like to just be able to spend time with my family, daughter, have more passive income so that you
can pick and choose kind of what you're doing.
Yep.
Is that what you're going for?
Yep. That's definitely.
You can go fishing whenever you want.
Go fishing, when it's windy, you go to work, and when it's beautiful, you go golfing and fishing and go hunting all the time, and also be able to give back to the community, your employees, all these other people, to bring them on the journey with you and do that.
Do you think you achieve that by more rental properties, or do you have a strategy in place yet for that? Or is it more businesses? You don't have to go super in depth, but
more rental properties. That's kind of what I'm always looking for.
Okay.
I think I would be going outside of Minot too, and experimenting in other portfolios. We have a lot of eggs in Minot, with businesses in Minot. We work here, our investments are here, we live here, so it'd be kind of going to that next level and going into other states and investing there, and just kind of diversifying yourself, and then also trying to, grow the team so we can all kind of work, you don't have to work harder, we can work smarter.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, that's all I got for you. Where can people find you, Nathan? If they want to get a hold of you, go to your socials. Where can they find you?
Yeah, best place is, I guess, put us, just Google us. You can find our information there. Go to Instagram, Facebook. We're both trying to grow on there. So just reach out to us any way you want.
Perfect. Cool. Well, Nathan Stremick, everyone, Signal Realty, episode 1 of the Minot Business Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Nathan, thank you for coming on. This was a good conversation. I hope it hits 1 million views so everyone gets to hear you talking.
Yeah, or 10.
Yeah, or 10. Hey, we'll take the 10 views. So if you're one of the 10 people watching, thank you. Feel free to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week for episode 2 of the Minot Business Podcast.